This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, my friends. The Monty Show live on your YouTube machine. Appreciate you being here. Hello to everybody on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, The Monty Show on YouTube, everybody on our podcast. Thanks for being here, man. We couldn't do this show without you. And it's always presented by The Advocates. TheAdvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. You guys, I tell you every single day, there are car accidents, people slip and fall. You got hurt at work somehow. Don't trust your insurance company. They're not working for you, even though you pay them every month. They're not working for you. They're working for them. The advocates are going to fight for you. You didn't deserve to be in that accident, but you deserve an advocate at theadvocates.com, where you never pay out of pocket for the best injury attorneys in the business. No, you don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. 100% you do not. All right, the Monty Show, a lot to get to. A little breaking Jim Harbaugh news this afternoon.
Now, we wouldn't want to say we told you so.
I mean, we're not, like, we're humble.
We don't do
Whoa,
that. Like, we
whoa,
don't, you know.
Whoa.
Like, we don't do that on this show, Grum.
We are humble, You know.
Program.
Dennis Dodd just put out a story at CBS.com that says Jim Harbaugh negotiates with Chargers. NCAA penalties became sticking point of Michigan contract talks.
Oh, Jim.
Now again, I understand that I don't have sources, but I would just like to
Stay hard.
And tell you that, we told you that Jim Harbaugh had gone back to Michigan, as we first and exclusively reported on this show, and he wanted immunity. Michigan said, we cannot do that. And now all of a sudden, there's this little detail that was somehow vicariously leaked to Dennis Dodd, which I have been telling you about since November when I was first told about it, which is that if Connor Stallions knew about the scheme, and I have no idea how he wouldn't know, if Connor Stallions knew, Jim Harbaugh knew, and that is a level 1 violation against Jim Harbaugh and the University of Michigan.
Fine Steeler guy.
And I can tell you straight away today that Connor Stallions being terminated might be the most egregious sign Fine
Steeler guy.
That Jim Harbaugh's days at Michigan were numbered, as we told you they were. Jake, I don't think there's any doubt that this is a very, very bad look for the University of Michigan.
All I have to say is what goes around comes around. Right? Now, I'm not saying that the chancellor at Michigan knew what sign stealer guy was doing, right? I'm not saying people at that level knew, but the reality of the situation is when you hired Jim Harbaugh, you knew you were taking a risk. Now, if you're the Chargers, this is a little bit different. Pretty hard to cheat in the NFL. You know, a lot of paid professionals doing their thing. Pretty hard to cheat in the NFL. But my point is, you knew that this was a thing. You knew that you were taking risk. You knew that Jim would probably burn your school to the ground, and you knew that you'd pay the price for it, and he would go off to the NFL again. So don't tell me, Michigan fan, that this is conjecture and, we're shocked and we had no idea this would ever happen with Jim. I mean, we've never seen this before outside of his last 5 jobs, right? Like, come on, dude. You knew that this is who this guy was. So for me, this makes perfect sense, right? We saw the NCAA roll out the Jim Harbaugh rules. We knew that they had evidence. That's why you skipped out on your court date that you told everybody you were going to go to and then copped out of. That's why you did that. And now the NCAA is saying, hey, if sign stealer guy knew, Jim had to know. And if he didn't know, he's responsible because guess what? He had the head coach on his name tag. So that's why I say it's a very straightforward proposition. So where does that leave us? Enjoy that national championship. Enjoy what you had. Enjoy the run. Enjoy all the junk you talked because it's over. It's done. They're coming for you. Jim's going to go to the Chargers, and you're going to be left to pick up the pieces. And unfortunately, America's favorite vacuum salesman is not going to be able to fix that for you. So that's why I say the arrogance of Michigan is coming back to get them. And I'm not even saying it's a beautiful thing, because it's really not. It's
not at all
for college football.
Yeah, and I think the worst part here is that, you know, and we've been telling you this for about a week. Jim Harbaugh and Michigan are no longer talking. So there's not, I want to say I told you last Monday or a couple of Fridays ago, Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, I have not had substantive contract negotiations for some time now. And I think if we go back and we kind of recap the sourcing that we've had for you, which we were working on to start the show today, which is why we were a little belated, if you will. It goes back to Jim Harbaugh hiring Don Yee on the eve of the college football playoff. This goes back to the questions that so upset the University of Michigan during the Alabama run-up and then the run-up to the national championship and the eventual, the eventual crowning of Michigan as national champions. All the talk was on, is Jim Harbaugh leaving Michigan? All the talk was about why Jim Harbaugh hired an NFL agent. I think there was bitterness, and there was, I think anger is probably a little bit too strong, but there is no doubt in my mind, based on what our sources have told us, that Michigan has bitterness and frustration with Jim Harbaugh and his process of negotiating a somewhat of a return to Michigan, and straight up asking, hey, I want to be immune from termination or loss of wages based on NCAA punishment, because there's no question. And again, Michigan fan, I'm talking directly to you. There's no way to get around the fact that Jim Harbaugh is well aware that he is looking at multiple now level 1 violations, multiple level 2 violations. And I am told that this FBI investigation is very serious for Michigan. I think that is a huge deal. And I just don't know how you get away from that. You have got recruiting violations, you have got a sign stealing scandal, and you have a computer crime scandal. And everybody wants to whitewash this computer scandal away as a Matt Weiss thing. I don't believe, from what I have heard, that it's a Matt Weiss thing. It's a Michigan football via Matt Weiss thing. There are dark days coming to Ann Arbor, and those dark days are going to be spent pining over Jim Harbaugh, the head coach of the San Diego, we're now in Los Angeles Chargers, because our sources also tell us the Chargers are laser focused on Jim Harbaugh to be their next head coach. They have a second interview with Jim Harbaugh tomorrow. They expect to make a contract offer to Jim Harbaugh by week's end. And in fact, I was told today that they expect to have an agreement with Jim Harbaugh by week's end. Michigan is in real trouble here, because if Jim Harbaugh leaves, the NCAA is not just going to give Michigan a free pass. They are going to drop the hammer on Michigan as an example. And I think the biggest mistake that Michigan made, and I'll say it again, was almost instantaneously firing Connor Stallions. That was an admission of guilt. I think the second biggest mistake they made was fighting the Big Ten suspension, because you have to have at some point some recognition that the Big Ten and the NCAA were working together. And if we knew it on this show, because we reported it, the Big Ten was working with Michigan and with the NCAA at the same time. They were talking. They were sharing information. You pulled your temporary restraining order, your injunction request, off the bench of a judge who graduated from Michigan law, in fact, played football at Michigan. You pulled that temporary restraining order and injunction at the 11th hour after the NCAA presented the Big Ten with evidence that was overwhelming in the sign-stealing investigation of Connor Stallions in the football program. This cannot end well for the University of Michigan. It can only end well for Jim Harbaugh. And that's why I ask, why is Michigan fan rooting for this guy? Because I have no idea what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, it's asinine in my opinion. It's foolish. It's unbelievable to me. And honestly, if you're a Michigan fan, like, and your stance is, hey, you got us a championship and whatever's whatever, I'm fine with that. I mean, if you're cool with, hey, we won a championship and yeah, it's going to cost us probably 5 years in the program.
Yeah.
Like if we're being conservative, probably 5 years of just kind of, going through the penalties, not really being relevant in college football, like still making money in your football program. Of course, it's Michigan football. It's always going to make money, but you know what I mean? Like not really being in the college football playoff picture for a minute. Okay. If you're cool with that, then I'm cool with that. If you're cool with the paying the price of, hey, sign Steeler guy, Matt Weiss, the COVID recruiting violations, like all this stuff, if you're cool with the baggage, then that's fine. But my issue is you got guys in college football who showed you it can be done clean. And that's always been my thing with Jim.
And again, I go back to the Florida State collective recruiting booster level 2 violations of 2 weeks ago. They wholly cooperated with the NCAA on that. I'd also remind you that one of the level 1 violations against Jim Harbaugh is a lack of cooperation and transparency. And if Jim Harbaugh leaves, that level 1 violation does not go with him. And I think there's something that a lot of people don't, a lot of people have this idea that if Jim Harbaugh leaves, Michigan's absolved. The problem is that's not the case at all. If you go and read the NCAA rule book on the lack of institutional control charge, that is a university charge that extends to athletic leadership. So if you are going to keep your athletic director in place and Jim Harbaugh is gone, that athletic director is going to be penalized with the university for that. And when we talk about penalized, if Jim Harbaugh leaves, the other thing that you have to remember is he's a guy that's notoriously uncooperative while he is employed. I believe that the NCAA would ask him for information, and I don't believe that he will provide it. Jim Harbaugh is one of those guys who believes, and I think one of the other things that he and Michigan have erred on is this proclamation, and we are innocent, we did nothing wrong, when it is very clear to everybody else behind the scenes through their own admissions. Michigan has not denied, Jim Harbaugh has not denied the things that he did during the COVID period. They have not denied ever, not once, their sign stealing operation. Never. Go back and you look at Michigan and look at the different way that Jim Harbaugh and Michigan have operated here, and you see where the break exists.
Well, you remember what the Big Ten said, right? I think it's a great point. Like the Big Ten said, hey, the punishment is the punishment partially because you never denied what you did. It's always been a well-accepted fact.
But
on
who did the NCAA deliver evidence against? And who did the Big Ten actually, if you go and read the Jim Harbaugh suspension at the end of the year, Jim Harbaugh is not the guy they were punishing. The Big Ten was punishing Michigan by suspending its football coach for those 3 games. That was the punishment, fully and wholly supported by the NCAA, who hadn't even delivered a notice of allegations against them for the sign stealing situation. And again, I go back to this idea with Michigan fan that, the University of Michigan is going to get off scot-free. Jim Harbaugh is the actor. Jim Harbaugh is not the actor, because remember how the NCAA views this stuff. The NCAA views it as, hey, Jim Harbaugh, did you know? You did? Okay, you're guilty. Oh, you didn't? You're guilty. Hey, athletic director, did you know? You did? Okay, you're guilty. You didn't? You're guilty. It doesn't matter if you knew. You were supposed to know. The athletic director was supposed to know what the football coach was doing and what his staff was doing. So the idea, and you can't go back and you can't find a situation where a coach is, committed. And I think one of the things that I think is also really important here is there's only one other modern era case where a university was handed findings and a coach evacuated the situation. It was USC with Reggie Bush. And where did Pete Carroll go? He went to Seattle. And what happened to USC? USC got smacked. So we can all sit here and we can pretend, right? We can pretend that Michigan's going to get off scot-free. I am telling you now that you are not getting off scot-free.
Well, and look, I think there's a price to pay for playing games. Like it's what I keep saying, man. Like there's no getting away from this. And look, notice nobody today said Michigan sucks, right? I'm not saying Michigan sucks. I'm not saying that Michigan's a crappy university. It's a prestigious university amongst its peers. It's an icon, dude. It's Michigan. And whether it's the hockey program, the basketball program, obviously we're talking about the football program today. Like you got to understand that Michigan is not just like, Poughkeepsie State. Michigan has heritage, glory even.
Absolutely.
Like there's a lot to Michigan's story. And that's what saddens me and frankly disappoints me so much about the appointment of Jim at Michigan. Because first it was, and I think this is important to keep in mind if you're a Michigan fan, and I hope you come around to it at some point. I don't know if you ever will, but it's important to point out that Jim didn't do much winning initially. Jim was much more of the guy who, couldn't beat Lloyd Carr, couldn't beat the guy, his rival, couldn't do it. And so you look at it and you say, okay, is this the guy? And then all of a sudden, just like that, start winning ball games, start crushing people, start being a national power. And everyone said, oh, well, that's not suspicious. Nothing wrong. We're just better than you guys. And now all of this has come out. So from the standpoint of, hey, it's Michigan, heritage, glory, prestige. This was a mistake, in my opinion. Did you win a natty? Yes. Did you do it in Nick Saban's final year? Yes. Was that loss Nick Saban sending out gift? Yes, it was 100%, like no doubt about it. But it's just frustrating that we have to sit here and deal with this. And if you're a Michigan fan today, I wouldn't be fighting. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm standing on my high horse fighting for Jim Harbaugh. I would be sitting here wondering what's next because Jim's going to the NFL. I don't know if Sharon Moore stays. I don't know if the gang comes back. I don't know if Michigan is cool keeping that staff. I have no idea. I don't know. And that's what's dangerous because what happens if Michigan is brutal for the next 5 years? We got all these new teams coming into the Big Ten. We know what Lloyd Carr has done this offseason, right? Will Howard, all these dudes he's brought in. Like Ohio State's in a good place. So for me, I don't think there's any way around it if you're a Michigan fan. You should be disappointed. You should be heartbroken. You should be sad. And honestly, like I would be looking at it saying, where does this leave us? Like, do you really feel like the national championship justifies everything? Do you really feel like Jim Harbaugh leaving your school or your program, whatever you want to call it, in shambles justifies how long he was there? Because I look at what he did in the past, and this is the same thing. And everyone said, hey, you hate Jim Harbaugh. I remember all the comments last week when I said Jim's not worth it. Jim's not a winner. Jim's not someone who you want to employ. Everyone said, well, the NFC Championship games and the Super Bowl run, and he's done things, and now he's won a natty. How can you say he's not a winner? Yeah. Does he do good things on the football field? He does. He does. But that doesn't necessarily make it worthwhile the price you pay. Think about what the 49ers have had to go through, right? Your locker room got torched, right? And honestly, like, the Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick decision was controversial, but you look at that decision and the ripple effect. Dude, the ripple effect lasted 5 years. You didn't get good again until Kyle Shanahan came back in. Like, you didn't get good again. You got a guy playing quarterback for you who everyone's saying is not even competent. That's the level of fandom that 49ers have had to deal with. Yet you as a Michigan fan are sitting here saying, hey, like, we're innocent. We're getting off scot-free. So I don't think that you can feel good about this. I don't think that you can feel positively. And I would, as far as college football is concerned, I look at this and I say, this is not good. You look at Nick Saban retiring. You look at, Ryan Day not really living up to it. You look at everything that Lane Train's doing in the SEC. Like, the SEC, while you lost Saban, is getting better. The Big Ten, theoretically, should have gotten better with these new teams. But what of Lincoln Riley, right? You look at Lincoln Riley and you're sitting here saying, hey, is this guy looking at an NFL job? Or is USC going to get back to what it should be, which is a powerhouse every single year? Like, I don't know where college football necessarily goes if Michigan is in shambles. We're sitting here talking about Oregon running the Big Ten. We're sitting here talking about, Jed Fish in Washington trying to figure their way out in the Big Ten. You look at the Arizona situation. It's now coming out that, Jason Shear's reporting that Bobby Robbins gets a memo for every expenditure that happened at Arizona. So I look at this and I say, dude, we're in a time in college football where you're seriously having to consider who is leading our program, whether it's at the president level, the AD level, the head coach level, and what have those people done in the past? Because Dave Hickey had a beautiful career for a long time, and now all of a sudden that's in shambles, right? You look at guys like Jim. Conversely, you look at guys like Nick Saban. Bro, Nick Saban had one of the best careers we've ever seen. Obviously, GOAT, or if not, one of the 3 best coaches of all time. He had a positive effect on college football. So to me, college football is this drama-filled place that we have to deal with. And I don't know that as a fan, like if you're someone who's been watching since, the BCS days, like where are you at? Like in the comment section, are you happy about it? Like where college football is going? Because I can't, positively or convincingly say that I'm happy about it. And it really bothers me because football, to be honest with you guys, football is not even my number one. Like I like in terms of tiers of sports, like I'm an NBA guy first, then baseball, then football. Like I look at the viewership over the weekend, bro, 50 million views for the NFL game. Like this country's about football. So if you're a college football fan and you've been a fan since the BCS days, like I don't know. I don't know where you go from here. I don't know, what you even begin to look at, because college football has changed drastically. And we're going to get to your comments here. I'm not sure where my guy went here. I'm guessing he took a call. He kind of ran out. So we're going to start reading some comments. Let's see here. Who we got first today? We've got Charlie Sinclair. This deal is getting done today. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's getting done today, right? Like Harbaugh to the Chargers, I think you're probably, again, like we said, end of the week. I think that's probably realistic. You look at the timeline with NFL coaching jobs, it's much more of a situation where they've had to just go through the process and churn out like as many interviews as possible. Not even just for the Rooney Rule, but you look at just all the candidates, like whether it's Vrabel, now you got Pete Carroll, trying to get in on the Chargers opportunity. So for the Chargers, they're obviously going to interview everyone possible, but I would expect, like we reported, I would expect Jim to get signed by the end of the week. Paolo tips us $5. When Jim leaves, his players have 30 days to leave. If he cheats in college to win, how about the pros? Let him burn. Yeah, I mean, obviously the transfer portal has changed the conversation for players. You look at Alabama, you look at Ohio State, you look at Michigan. Guys are going to the league, guys are transferring, like a lot of things are happening. And I don't know, are we good with that? Like, is that a good thing? I think it's a good thing for the players, but I'm not sure that it's a great thing for college football on the whole. You look at the ramifications of the Jed Fish situation and just how many guys, went, and then obviously Noah Fafita didn't leave. So when I look at, Paolo's comment here, appreciate the $5 tip. Like, yeah, they have 30 days to leave, but what's really the best situation for them? Like Judkins goes to Ohio State and everyone loses their mind. Like, I think it's a controversial conversation, to say the least, but at least they're not trapped. And I think that's the biggest thing. Are you okay, bro? Like, what the hell just happened, bro?
Phones are ringing, man. Phones are ringing. Just people watching the show and important people calling. And, I think what is really interesting for me here is that everybody's paying attention to Jim Harbaugh and what's going on in Michigan. That's the fascinating part. And I find it so interesting that the sentiment is, without question, Michigan's in trouble. And I think what triggered this phone call was the Pete Carroll comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Because the expectation, I can tell you from people I've spoken to, is it will be much more severe because Pete Carroll cooperated.
Well, how long was USC down? I mean, what is it, 10 years?
USC, and if memory serves, USC lost 30 scholarships. USC vacated a Heisman Trophy. Like, you look at USC getting a 2-year bowl ban. And at the time, I would remind you, and I should look that up, but I would remind you that USC, there was no bigger, badder MFer in football than USC.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at what USC meant to college football in those moments. Yeah, I think it is a perfect parallel to USC. So, or to Michigan and USC.
So USC's punishments, just so we're all on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
2-year postseason ban, scholarships lost over the course of a 3-year window. So they're saying, hey, we're not just pulling scholarships this year, but we're going to pull scholarships over a 3-year window. So you can't recruit. Obviously, you can't build your program. Vacating old games, including the BCS championship. That's what everybody remembers, of course.
Yep.
Disassociating Reggie, with the Heisman, USC head coach, or Pete Carroll leaving, obviously, so they got beat over the head with it. I mean, there's no way, no how about that. And I think that, again, and we've discussed this many times on the show, we've never seen what we're talking about here with Michigan.
No.
And again, I want to be really clear because I don't want to see it in the comments section. I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm saying that nobody got caught speeding on radar by buddies sitting on the side of the road.
We've never seen it at this level.
Yeah.
We've never seen. I think you are looking at Jim Harbaugh probably getting a 5-year show cause order. Because, again, I would point out the subtle differences here. Reggie Bush was the main actor at USC.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Harbaugh, the head coach, is one of the main actors in this case. Now, in the sign stealing, that's Connor Stallions. But I am told also that there is a mountain of evidence that links Jim Harbaugh to knowledge of that. We'll see if that's true or not. That could be, I'm not convicting Jim Harbaugh of anything in sign stealing until we see it, because I hope people understand just how flagrant and egregious it is to do what Michigan did. And if a head coach was aware of that, that would be stunning and shocking.
Sign stealer guy.
I mean, to carve out a budget, to come up with a scheme, to have staff involved that are paying people that are, it would be so unbelievably over the top when you just don't need to do that because you get all that tape already. Hey,
but why did he do it though?
Because
I think that's the best point.
He hadn't. Jim Harbaugh, until the sign stealing operation allegedly began, hadn't won a big game.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh was in trouble at Michigan. He had not beaten Ohio State. He had not won big games. He had not won a national championship. He had not won, he just wasn't winning big games. And then he was. Now, I think it's also horribly unfair to label Michigan as a secondary team, because they were by far, and I don't care if they knew your signs or not, they were by far the best defense in the country this year. That was unbelievable. And Georgia fan, you're always in the comments every time I say that about Michigan. Michigan was the best defensive. And if we want to just say defensive front, their secondary was very questionable, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
They were the best defensive front in the country. And they won the national championship, and you don't do that accidentally. Now, did they employ Jose Altuve as a consultant? Probably. Right? You got caught red-handed here.
Yeah.
Sign stealer guy.
And I think the fact that you are now seeing everything we've reported for the last 3 months on Jim Harbaugh. Do you really think that this is a CBS headline from today?
Yeah.
From Dennis Dodd. Jim Harbaugh negotiates with Chargers. NCAA penalties became sticking point of his Michigan contract talks.
Look at how casual that is in the title. We're not questioning. Nobody's questioning whether penalties are coming, dude. Penalties
are coming.
are on the way via first-class mail, bro. They're coming for you.
Yep.
So let's not pretend that it's like, oh, are we getting? Yeah, you're getting penalized, man.
Yep, I agree. Jay Chapman says NCAA is about to drop their hammer on Michigan. That's never going to happen. They'll get a slap on the wrist compared to what anybody else but Notre Dame and Ohio State would get. So wait, let me just get this right, because you apparently are an expert. What they did to USC, 30 scholarships over 3 years, 2-year bowl ban. And this is a team, USC, that won 2 national championships, and if memory serves, went to 7 BCS bowl games. And the expert come on, like this is Michigan fandom thinking that you're going to get off easy.
Yeah, you're in fantasy land, dude.
And it's just not going to happen.
And now you can no longer say it's just us saying it.
Yeah.
Because everybody's saying it now.
Yeah, and I love that. No, you guys don't have sources. You're the only one reporting it. Well, not anymore. We're not.
So what do you have to say to that?
Yeah,
Have a good day.
And how?
Yeah.
Hour number 2 of the Monty Show, presented by our good friends at TryDayTrading.com. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. You guys, speaking of paying fines, and before we get to all your comments, TryDayTrading.com, they give you a 30-day trial membership for the cost is a $10 charitable donation. You donate $10 to charity, they give you their entire program for 30 days. And then when you graduate their program, they're going to fund a trading account. The number one thing I hear is, Monty, I don't have any money to trade. It doesn't matter. They're taking that excuse away, because Tri-Day Trading is going to fund a trading account for you that you can use for a week, a month, the rest of your life. You can stay in that account as long as you want and trade with TryDayTrading.com's money, and you get 80%, up to 80% of the profit when you make money with Tri-Day Trading's money. That's how confident they are that you're going to make money when you go through the TryDayTrading.com program. Sign up for the 30-day $10 trial membership. No obligation at the end of the 30 days, but I don't think we have a viewer who's gone through the Tri-Day Trading program that has not continued past.
Just crushing it.
Because you instantly see how much money you make at TryDayTrading.com. TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Let's get your comments in here. Charlie Sinclair, the great San Diego, we moved to LA Chargers fan. I'm never going to say just LA Chargers. I probably will, but I am not a fan of the Spanos family. Show me your lightning bolt. This deal is getting done today. Let's go. There is a lot of, and again, I'll reset if you're just joining the show. Sources have told Jake and I think last Monday we reported it, that Jim Harbaugh and Michigan are no longer negotiating a contract because Michigan cannot rightfully offer Jim Harbaugh immunity to NCAA penalties, which would include termination, a show cause notice, and a loss of compensation, which is what Jim Harbaugh is asking Michigan to do, which is to insulate him from NCAA punishment. Michigan's not able to do that. And I think one of the things that's so interesting about this situation in Los Angeles is, are you willing to do a deal with the devil essentially here? Because one of the rubs at Michigan that we've been told about consistently is that you have a situation where the staff and the people behind the scenes at Michigan are really unhappy and frustrated with the lengths that Jim Harbaugh has gone to dodge the NCAA, and what Jim Harbaugh and his ethics appear to be, and what that means to Michigan's reputation. Because you have Michigan, and regardless of what you think about Michigan's athletic program, the University of Michigan is one of the finest institutions in this country. It is one of the finest law institutions in this country. It is a university founded on ethics. It is a university founded on, believing in oneself and building a reputation and executing on a daily basis. These are characteristics that Michigan takes very seriously. And Jim Harbaugh shunning his ethical responsibility, Jim Harbaugh shunning his responsibility to the students, the alumni, and the faculty at Michigan does not sit well with people behind the scenes. And I think that's why you're seeing very much a tepid response from the University of Michigan when they are asked for comment on Jim Harbaugh. They're really not saying much. And there is a palatable frustration behind the scenes in Ann Arbor with the way that Jim Harbaugh has conducted himself over the last 4 or 5 months. When Michigan has stood staunchly in his defense, he has not reciprocated that. And I think that has really turned a lot of folks in Ann Arbor off to him.
Yeah, I mean, you went to great lengths to screw Michigan. Like, let's be clear. And I've always pointed this out. And again, I'm happy to be the villain. This guy is out for himself. He always has been and always will be. Look at it from this standpoint. This dude rolled up to Ann Arbor with one mission in mind, which was to win a national championship. So he gets a couple years in, can't beat Ryan Day, can't get over the hump. So he rolls in allegedly, rolls in a sign stealing out situation system, commits a bunch of recruiting violations, and then gets over the hump and doesn't care because now he's going to go to the league because he knows he can ride the wave of the Natty. This guy's out for himself, not Michigan. Yeah. And it's been that way since day one.
Yeah, I think it is. It's really unfortunate because Michigan just, in my opinion, deserves better. Paulo for $5. When Jim leaves, his players have 30 days to leave. So the rule is when you have a coaching change, Kalen DeBoer, Nick Saban, when a coach leaves the university, Jed Fish at Arizona, players have 30 days to insert their names into the transfer portal. Now, you also remember, I believe it's April, middle of April, there's another transfer portal window right after spring ball. You're going to see a lot of names. Michigan is stocked with talent. There's no question about that. And you're already seeing, and we talked about this as well, a lot of Jim guys are gone. Either a lot of guys went to the NFL, including your quarterback-free Harbaugh, including some of your best defensive talent. Some guys have transferred. I think everybody knows Jim's leaving.
Okay, some guys got fired and lost their jobs. You know, yeah. I mean, but who's counting? Who's counting?
Connor Stallions transferred to Cameo.
I mean,
seriously, bro.
Does Jim Harbaugh give him a job in Los Angeles?
The balls, dude.
The balls on this guy.
Yeah.
Sean Rollins for giving 5 Monty Show memberships.
Go.
Let's go. Appreciate you. Aaron Wilson gives a Monty Show membership.
Go, baby.
Appreciate you. Let's see. Who else is in the comments today? John Dry, Florida State and the ACC schools seem screwed at the moment. It's a tough spot. It is a tough spot.
You signed an agreement. You're not breaking it. It's that simple.
Yeah. Alex Rea, what's up, my guy? Good to see you. SC got hosed in retrospect. Michigan won't get penalized. The record being scrubbed will be enough. I think if Jim Harbaugh is gone, they will take a significant scholarship and recruiting reduction. I think, and from what my sources have told me, you're looking at double-digit scholarship reductions per year. I think you are looking at a severe limitation on off and on-campus recruiting visits. I think you are looking at a multi-year bowl ban, which means not just college football playoff, any postseason games, Big Ten championship, bowl game, college football playoff, none of that for multiple years. And I think that you are looking at a show cause notice that is going to be historically tough on Jim Harbaugh, on Minter, on Moore. Like, I think that staff is going to take a beating. And I think Sharon Moore is the guy that's got to take that job because it's going to be a very difficult job. And Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State is living proof of this.
I knew today would be shitty.
Michigan, I think if Jim Harbaugh leaves, Michigan is going to follow the path that Arizona State has followed, which is we are going to punish ourselves in a lot of different ways. We are going to limit the way our coaches can recruit. We are going to limit the ability of our coaches to interact with recruits via digital, which is video.
Right.
So they're not going to let you come to campus, leave campus, and they're going to restrict your ability to do video recruiting. Like, I think Michigan is going to try and do what many universities have done, which is self-discipline in hopes of taking lesser blow from the NCAA. Because remember, our sources had also told us very clearly Jim Harbaugh was looking at an 8 to 10 game ban this next season. He gave himself, what was it, 4 games, I guess, or 3 games at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, 3 games.
For the level 1 and level 2 violations. he was probably looking at 8 more. So I think him leaving, that's what's going to go away. But I think he's going to get a 5-year show cause order. Like, it's going to be tough.
And I also think as far as, pulling the natty, like, I think that's just, but here's my point on that. That's not, like, let's be really clear. That's not any kind of penalty to remove.
No.
Right. But what I think the point is the NCAA is saying, hey, great, you went out and won a natty. Sweet. We're going to pull that, and then we're going to drop the hammer on you, and we're going to prove a point. Right. And it's not to prove a point to any individual person. Like, if Jim goes to the Chargers and Sharon Moore takes the job, the NCAA didn't roll up and be like, hey, we're punishing Sharona. That's not how it works. But I think the goal would be to say we can't have this. The biggest thing that I look at between USC and Michigan is a quality of the game conversation. Michigan is, or integrity of the game conversation, where USC was, just money and recruiting and a ton of off the field stuff that allowed them, to recruit and get better talent in and ultimately go out and win national championships. So to me, when you start delving into integrity of the game, it's kind of a different level than, hey, buddy got paid when he shouldn't have got paid. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Jim Harbaugh is going to leave behind a pile of kindling, just festering.
Yep.
At Michigan. I feel terrible for Michigan fans, because Michigan fans are passionate. I mean, they're not always
practical,
but they are passionate.
Yeah.
And it's real. I feel bad for the players in that program. I never fault players for the action of coaches and administrators. Like, I look at this Arizona situation. I mean, it's really difficult. Let's see. Boston Mapes. Michigan will take a step back. Got the chip. I mean, it was 25 years in between. There are a few programs that do it clean, so I'll leave it at, why do that? I've never understood this. Well, everybody steals signs. The funny thing is, I don't ever remember a scandal. And Jake, correct me if I'm wrong. I've never seen a guy on the coaching staff carve out a budget and build a staff and make travel plans for people to go to other universities and videotape sidelines. Yeah, never seen that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. And this is not just unique to Mapes here. I mean, I Desmond Howard, like, every Michigan guy and their mom is out here saying, well, everybody steals signs.
Everybody
but here's the deal. We're not talking about game day stealing signs, right? We're not talking about you stood on the sideline and stole their signs. That's never been the conversation, man. And the idea that the assumption in this comment is that that's what it is and that everybody's doing it tells me that you're still in denial mode. By the way, if everybody else was doing it, that still doesn't matter, because you're the only ones that got caught.
Yeah, man.
So stop talking about everybody else. Stop talking about it's been 25 years. By the way, let me flip that around on you, Mapes. It's been 25 years and you only won it because you cheated, allegedly.
There's a lot of people who believe that.
Nice job, dude.
OG Gary says, what I care about is why the FBI is on campus. It's wild to me.
That's what I mean. There's still a whole nother, you walk into Michigan's front door and you've got 3 hallways. The one, this is Jim going to the Chargers. This is all the Jim recruiting violations. And now you've got the FBI over here and you haven't even opened that door yet.
Yeah, that's where the crime scene tape. The crime scene tape is to the left.
Yeah, like we're not even, we haven't beat the video game to that level yet. We haven't gone through enough junk with Jim yet to get to the, hey, dude was out here committing computer, crimes for the program to do things. And again, my opinion, I could be wrong. Don't know this to be fact. Wouldn't surprise me even a little bit if those computer crimes were linked to the sign stealing investigation. Just saying.
I hope not. Christopher Shannon, what's up with you? Michigan has tormented Ohio State so much the past 3 seasons. They've put all their endowment into the transfer portal this offseason. Seriously. And that's the worst part now. It's not that you got caught cheating. That's not unique to Michigan.
Yeah.
The worst part of this is now, did you really beat Ohio State? And did you really win the national championship? Did you really beat Alabama? It just sucks, the whole thing, because the last thing you want when it's been this long of a drought and you are still living in Lloyd Carr times, The last thing you want is a bunch of asterisks and questions and, oh, well, you guys cheated. Jim Harbaugh cheated. You guys didn't win that. You only beat Ohio State because you stole signs.
So when I
That
see
sucks.
Michigan guy say, hey, everybody was stealing signs. That's fine. We won an natty. Do you understand what that says about your fan base, dude? Do you understand that means that you're cool with cheating to win? You're cool with that. You don't care about ethics or integrity as a football fan. You don't care about it. And that's a problem for me.
Yeah, it sucks. I think that's the worst part of it. That's the worst. RB says better get it worse than USC. I think there is so much frustration with Jim Harbaugh that they will. That's the thing that should really, and I don't think Michigan fans consider stuff like this. You're talking about human beings making a decision. The Committee on Infractions was so pissed at Jim Harbaugh for his dodging, his lack of cooperation, and then what they called dishonesty when he finally met with them. They refused the negotiated settlement with him. He had he negotiate a 4-game suspension, and they said no, that's not nearly enough. We'll levy punishment next season, next off season. Don't forget that detail. The Committee on Infractions, who notoriously is silent, publicly spoke about Jim Harbaugh and the fact that negotiated essentially plea deal was not nearly good enough.
This is a code 10 abort.
That's what you should be terrified about. Terrified. Johnny Gonzalez, did Stallions go to work for FSU or Florida after leaving Michigan? Well, penalties I don't know. Robert wrote, it's over for Michigan football for a while, it seems. I would agree with that. Ferris Khan, one thing's for sure, these YouTubers get more views when they talk about, we get far more views talking about Michigan. Are you out of your mind? Do you really think Michigan brings more views? No, it does not.
I can assure you.
Michigan does not bring more views.
I can assure you Ohio State fan shows up more regularly.
I'm not even trying to play the rivalry because, frankly, I'm not a fan on either side. The Ohio State fan turns out on a more regular basis than Michigan fan does. Michigan fandom is not large, in my opinion.
And by the way, I just want to point this out. This is the same thing as, it's clickbait. It's, yeah, you're right. Yeah. We're trying to get views. We do YouTube. So,
what did Michigan do wrong, since all of you seem to know? Be specific. How would you like it in a grid format, an Excel spreadsheet?
Do you want me to play some music under this? Because this is going to take about a half hour.
I mean, if you just look at what is publicly known, throw out anything sources have told us that they've done. We know, in fact, that they have admitted to recruiting violations during the COVID dark period, overworking their coaches during the COVID dark period, watching workouts on stream, on like live stream during the COVID dark period,
the coronavirus,
meeting with recruits in person during the COVID dark period, then being evasive, dishonest, and misleading the Committee on Infractions during their investigation. Level 1 violation, multiple level 2 violations. We know that's for that. Like, again, how do we know all that's true? Jim Harbaugh self-imposed a suspension to admitting that was true.
Yeah.
And then what do we know about the sign stealing? Well, we know that Michigan had a mountain of evidence presented to it. They were defiant and took the Big Ten to court when they announced a 3-game suspension. And again, I'm sorry to be redundant, but for Ferris Khan, I got to do a chapter and verse here, right? The judge is a Michigan football player that graduated Michigan law, and he was going to hear your temporary restraining order and injunction, and you pulled it off his bench because the evidence was overwhelming against you. And again, Michigan has never denied guilt in the sign stealing operation.
Nope.
So we don't have to, play your dumb little game like, what did Michigan do wrong? They've told us what they did wrong. And then there's the FBI and the computer crimes. And why did you fire Connor Stallions? Just curious. Why did you fire Matt Weiss? Just curious. We don't have to even take the leap to what sources have told us. We know because Michigan has told us.
Mm-hmm.
And this doesn't even begin to detail issues in the basketball program. Doesn't even.
Jawan.
Hello. It doesn't even get close to that.
What did they do wrong?
You're
funny, bro.
I
funny.
understand. I understand why Michigan fan wants to defend Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
But you get he's banging his side chick and they're about to get married, right? You understand that. He's taking the Charger job. Fair, hey, Ferris, is this thing on? He's taking
this thing up. We're out of here.
He's taking the Charger job. And you are going to be left with a pile of crap. Like, I just don't understand why you are fighting for this guy.
Yeah.
Scott of Greywater Watch. Michigan is going to have to go out there and win another one like the Astros did. Alvarez smashes it against the Phillies. You better go out and win.
What's the difference? You're not going to have talent on this roster, bro. You're not going to have talent.
Jose Altuve is a lot of things, and I think he's a cheater, but he's also one of the most clutch home run hitters in the history of Major League Baseball.
Yes. Yes, he is.
Like, they're very, very good. And Michigan was very, very good this year, but they're not going to have that talent. It's going to be really tough. David Ute fan, Michigan hired and stood by Jim, deserve what they get. Absolutely
Agreed.
right. And that's very much how the NCAA
you
views it.
well knew who he was.
And the NCAA very much views it that way. And it's just really difficult to spin the fact that Michigan, look, it's what the Big Ten said in their court response to the injunction and temporary restraining order. You've never denied it.
Mm-hmm.
You've when they punished Jim Harbaugh in the narrative that the Big Ten wrote, Michigan has never denied it. You've never argued that this sign stealing operation happened. You are only arguing that you shouldn't punish Jim Harbaugh. That, and as we talked about on the show at the time, I thought it was the exact right argument. Michigan was arguing punish the university, not the football coach. He didn't know. And that's the most damning retort, because then what happened? You were ready to stand in front of a Michigan alumni, a former football player and a law grad. In his courtroom, you were willing to stand in front of that judge and say, don't allow the Big Ten to punish Jim Harbaugh. He was unaware of the operation. And then you pulled that because the NCAA provided the Big Ten and the University of Michigan with a mountain of evidence
Something real
about the sign stealing operation. And you just think that Jim didn't know, and they no longer could make the argument that Jim didn't know. Man, that's awfully tough to believe.
Yes, it is.
It's awfully tough to believe. Sean Rollins, got to be America's team. Mike Smith, that is a crime. Gumby Fresh Out, Michigan made me drop my Hot Pocket.
That'd be America's team.
You know. Eric Wasikowski, just saying, but it's been 5 months since the story broke. Nothing has happened yet. So the Big Ten suspension of Jim Harbaugh never happened?
Okay, hold on. I just need to, sorry, not to cut you off. Okay, look, man, I know it's only Tuesday, but you're already having a rough week, and I love you, bro.
He is having a rough week.
I love you,
agree.
bro. It's only Tuesday, and you're already having a rough week. I know that you didn't just come in here saying, hey, it's been 5 months and nothing's happened, while also last week riding us and saying the NCAA process is way too long. You know, we're not going to get punishment for like 3 years. Dude, they're going to punish you this summer. It's not in question. It's going to happen.
The COVID dark period recruitment punishment
come on, dude,
will happen this summer.
And if you think they're not going to go COVID dark period, okay, punishment levied, case closed, sign stealer guy, FBI. So you're going to get punishment 1, punishment 2, punishment 3. We'll see you in 5 years. That's what this is, man. And I don't think Michigan fan fully appreciates the implication of what Jim has done here. Because I'm a buyer. I'll just tell you that right now. And it has nothing to do with Michigan as a university. I have no problem with Michigan as a university. I have always had an issue with Jim. Jim has always been the schemer. He's always been the guy that's trying to get over on somebody. And now
Jim is that guy that always plays the victim.
Yeah,
hey,
always.
it's a conspiracy against me.
Cheating, lying, and then playing the victim.
I did nothing wrong. I am like Jim. Even and it was funny the day after he said it, we talked about it. Like even Michigan fans laughed at him when he said,
well,
"I'm innocent."
Bro, I think we still have. I mean, take a look. I think we still have the video where he's like, "We just want due process. Due process this. Due process."
Oh yeah, we do,
bro. Like, listen to this guy, dude.
I'm going to talk on Friday. Just looking for that opportunity. Due process. Not looking for special treatment. Not looking for a popularity contest. Just looking for the merit of what the case is. I senior in high school, I had a civics class, and talked about government, justice, and what I took away from that class was that you're innocent until proven guilty. That was 40 years ago, but like that opportunity.
Come on, guys. Like, this is the guy you're dying on the hill for? Let me get this right. This is the guy that you're like, yeah, well, everyone's stealing signs. We didn't do anything different. Like, what's the problem? Come on, dude. Like, just be a little bit objective about it. Like, at least, like, I understand it, Michigan fan. At least be like, okay, maybe something happened, but that doesn't change the fact we won the national championship. We're better than you, and we're not talking about this until something in the public eye comes out. At least that I could respect. But the idea that, and again, not trying to come after you personally, Eric, but the idea that you're rolling out, hey, it's been 5 months and nothing's happened. That's one of the worst arguments I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's amazing. Let's see. Troy V. NCAA will go light on them because Michigan will go to the SEC or independent if they don't. Right. I mean,
sure, dude. Yeah, man. Wow, dude.
There's all kinds of ideas. Jack, the glacial snail coated in molasses known as the NCAA is not acted yet.
Right. That's what I'm saying, dude.
Salamini says Michigan offered Harbaugh an extension, but yeah, they admitted it or something. So you're saying that he's innocent and they're innocent because Michigan wanted the coach that's going to get hammered by the NCAA, who, again, I'd remind you, the Committee on Infractions, who never talks publicly, came out and said, this is a joke. We're not accepting this. We're going to announce punishment in the summer for the COVID period. So you think they think, I mean, it's this kind of logic that you're amazing.
Okay, is a hell of a drug.
It's always so good to see you. Robert Fowler, Wasikowski, thanks for proving my point. Capazzo, typical criminal mentality. What did we do wrong? In our minds, we did nothing wrong.
Yeah, ask everybody.
You're not wrong.
Ask everybody in here. They're all innocent.
It's the dude hopping over the bench to get the judge.
Yeah, dude.
Well, I haven't done anything lately. I mean, yeah, I murdered people and I smoke a ton of crack, but give me a chance. She was like, nah, dude. And he was like,
I'm not talking about that.
Yeah. Mike Smith, more Michigan homer trolls earning block status. Well, there is that. Wasikowski, why did Detroit sign another tight end today? Yeah. They've had some issues. And Laporta looks good. It'll be interesting to see because because you have you need multiple tight ends. And Laporta is very clearly not 100%, but who is?
But he had himself a nice little game.
He did. And he looks better running. I mean, we'll see. Mickey Quintana,
Hey.
I'm a diehard USC fan, but the NCAA is making it personal against Michigan like it did against USC in the mid-2000s. And we know how that turned out. It basically killed USC's run of titles.
Absolutely.
I think that's spot on.
And again, while you were taking your call, I made the point. Hey, dude, how long did it take SC to get back? It took you a decade at a minimum.
You're not back yet.
Like, agreed. You're not fully back yet. Because again, what is fully back for SC? Michigan, another natty, because you won a natty while you were doing what you were doing. So USC is not back. That's correct. Michigan, I don't know if it'll be 10 years, but it's going to be a while, man. And I'm just telling you now, Michigan is the coup de grace of the Big Ten. And now that's not going to be the case with all these new teams coming in. And if you think that Lincoln Riley is not paying attention to this situation, saying, hey, now we just got to beat Ryan Day because we know we've got Michigan in the bag and Penn State's not a problem, right? Like, that's what you're looking at. And it's a totally different landscape in the Big Ten.
Yeah, let's reset the breaking news today on Jim Harbaugh and the University of Michigan, presented by our good friends at PrizePicks. PrizePicks.com always presents our breaking news. Download the app, PrizePicks. Use the promo code Monty to get 100% deposit matching up to $100. I got crushed last night on PrizePicks, but I did it willingly and happily because Kevin Durant was an absolute stud. Stud
that game
last
winner,
night.
though, dude.
PrizePicks is awesome. Daily fantasy. You can play for weeks on $10. Download the app, make a deposit, use a promo code Monty. They'll match any deposit you make up to $100. The breaking news today, Jim Harbaugh in Michigan in more NCAA trouble related to sign stealer guy. And we've told you that it doesn't matter if Jim Harbaugh knew, because you are in a situation now where the NCAA is going to punish Michigan and Jim Harbaugh, whether he knew or not. And it is this NCAA coach's responsibility provision that I've talked so much about over the last 6-8 months, that it no longer matters if Jim Harbaugh knew. The NCAA is saying that Jim Harbaugh is responsible because it's a lack of institutional control. And under the coach's responsibility ability provision, which was strengthened a year ago, just about, I believe it was January 1st of 2023, it's a level 1 violation in the sign stealing scandal. If any of his staff members, I don't know, like Connor Stallions, were found to be involved or found guilty of those violations. And by his termination and the written testimony from Michigan, they very clearly believe that to be the case, that Connor Stallions was behind this. It's just such an impossible situation for the University of Michigan. It's impossible.
Brutal.
It really is. It's bad. Salamini says, you guys have never heard neither confirm nor deny before. What are you talking about? Yeah. Anyway, Woodworth, no Gumby, that's your mom. Boom goes to Dynamite. Ann Arbor. And that's your, I don't recall exactly. Jim, did you know about the sign stealing investigate or the sign stealing scandal? I don't recall. Did you craft a budget? I don't recall exactly. How many times?
I've never taken steroids.
To Papa said Jim didn't inhale. I did not inhale.
I want you to listen to me.
I did not
I'm going to say
inhale.
this again.
You know, it's wild. OG Gary, wait, are we going to have another Bad Take Friday, but on Tuesday? Apparently.
Yeah, dude. Apparently. I can't, yeah. Next comment.
Yeah. Becky Douglas. So, since when does the NCAA act fast? Have patience, Grasshopper. Yeah, Wasakowski,
yeah, bro.
That's worse than what is Chicago sports done that Detroit hasn't.
Stanley Cups and World Series and stuff. Just a little bit.
I love your passion, dude. I do. I'm glad you're here every day. Coach on staff appears on another team's sideline. Quote unquote, nothing happened.
Yeah, do we still have the Jim McElwain? I think we still have it.
Do we?
Like, listen to this guy. I'm pretty sure we still have it.
Do we have here it is.
Before we go any farther, we've obviously are aware of a picture floating around with the sign stealer guy. Our people are doing everything they can to get to the bottom of it. We're totally unaware of it. I certainly don't condone it in any way, shape, or form. And I do know that his name was on none of the passes that were let out. Now we just keep tracing it back and try to figure it out. But it's in good hands with our people. And again, there's no place in football for that.
I mean, except on our sidelines.
Bro.
Sign stealer guy.
Hold up, bro. Did you just say his name wasn't on any of the passes, yet he was still on the sideline, which means one of your people, if not you, with all due respect, gave Buddy a free pass? I mean, did you, like, bro, come on.
Nah, that's not Connor.
Come on,
Connor?
dude.
No.
Like, come on. Let's not live in fantasy land here,
Jim
bro.
McElwain, that's amazing.
What's up, big bro?
Sign stealer guy.
Come on now.
Oh my God. He's literally on the sideline.
Yeah, like, what are we doing?
Dustin, we had the Jake show for a little bit. Well, hey, man, when certain people call you, you answer the phone. Sean Rollins, his lawyer will take care of this. We'll see. We'll see.
My thing.
Doc Rob wants to know, did you order the code red, Jim? You're goddamn right I did. I'm going back to my base. Mike Smith, Taco Glizzy. No, we are not playing your stupid Glizzy game
No,
today.
I guess not.
We did not. Jake did a great job handling the show by himself.
Hi, this is James. Welcome back. Yay! Bodix is playing well. It is championship week. Yay!
Tanner Plumer. The older I get, the more I think lawyers are unintentionally sleazy. I don't know about that. Let me ask you this. Is Jim Harbaugh the right guy for the San Diego? We cheated the fine citizens of San Diego and moved to Los Angeles to play in a soccer stadium, the Chargers. Is Jim Harbaugh the right coach for the LA Chargers?
The answer lies within how much garbage you're willing to take out of this guy when he moves on. It's just that simple. Like, nobody doubts he can develop a quarterback. Nobody doubts that this guy can put together a good offense and contend at a high level, both at the college level and in the NFL. That's not in question. NFC Championship, Super Bowl appearance, like, we've seen it all. I get it. But are we yet again, 5 years from now, after he gets hired before the week's over, are we going to sit here and be surprised on the show when the Chargers lost Justin Herbert? They are in a worse spot than they were before he got here. And now they're once again still renting space from the Rams. Like, are we going to be surprised? I'm not going to be surprised because this is who Jim has been, man. And I keep saying it. People keep calling me stupid. But I'm just telling you, this is this dude's track record,
you
bro.
Are
well, yeah, I know, but that's not really the point, dude. That's not, you know.
You're not very bright. I do think that Jim is a good fit for the Chargers. And we can sit here and we could talk about sign stealer guy, or there are few better developers of quarterbacks in this game than Jim Harbaugh. And I can tell you from firsthand experience covering Jim in San Francisco, I mean, Colin Kaepernick grew leaps and bounds, and Alex Smith was a better quarterback because Jim Harbaugh was there. Now, did it end well? It did not. Jim Harbaugh couldn't win the Super Bowl because his quarterback couldn't make a throw. And I think that is some of the unfinished business that we're seeing with Jim Harbaugh and the Los Angeles Chargers. But I can tell you what our sources have told us is that Jim Harbaugh largely now has the framework of an agreement to become the head coach of the San Diego Chargers. And it's simply a matter now of figuring out, hey, how are we going to structure his staff? Because one of the things that Jim Harbaugh has told the Los Angeles Chargers is he wants complete control of the offense, meaning schematics and roster, as well as his staff, which I think the Chargers are willing to give him. The biggest question, I think, is the salary range, because some new reporting today from sources tell me that Jim Harbaugh agreed on a range of salaries because we had told you Don Yee was not sending Jim Harbaugh on in-person interviews unless the financial framework of a contract was agreed to, which I am told, again, it was agreed to with the Chargers, but it was in a range. Jim Harbaugh wants $12 million a year to be the head coach of the Chargers. I don't think they're going to give him that. I believe they want to pay him $8 million. And it's going to be a matter of where does that final number fall. But I think the Chargers are very close to hiring a general manager. I think they have an agreement in principle with some details to be worked out with Jim Harbaugh. And I think this is going to move very quickly. I believe tomorrow, certainly by the end of the week, here we are on a Tuesday. I think certainly by the end of the week, Jim Harbaugh will be the head coach of the San Diego Wales Vagina We Hate You Spanos Family Chargers, who play in Los Angeles at the Rams house. I think this is going to move very quickly. But one other detail that I think is very fascinating in all of this is that Pete Carroll, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, has been working behind the scenes to make himself a candidate for the Chargers job. And I just don't think he moves the needle in Los Angeles. They want a guy that can get the most out of Justin Herbert. And I think finally, we're seeing a situation where the Spanos has made some very tough choices this offseason. Tom Telesco is a hell of a general manager, as evidenced by him getting the Raider job today. And remember who Telesco was. He's not some old avant-garde guy. He's 51 years old. He's very young. He was aggressive, and he built a hell of a defensive roster for his defensive head coach, and it failed miserably. So now you are going to see Jim Harbaugh flip the script in Los Angeles for the Chargers. You are going to see him build one hell of an offensive line, and you are going to see him develop the hell out of Justin Herbert. And I think the Chargers win in very quick fashion because they have talent. It's simply a matter of bolstering both of those lines. Jake, I think he's a great fit for the Chargers.
Yeah, and I think, if we even keep it simpler than that, and I agree with all that, Pete Carroll's too old to be coaching Justin Herbert, in my opinion. I think that Pete's age is absolutely a factor if I was looking at him or Jim Harbaugh. Jim is someone who obviously is not a spring chicken, but obviously isn't an old man. He's a middle-aged football coach that has a proven track record of performance, albeit the scandal, set that aside for the Chargers' purposes, proven track record of performance, and can come in and say to Justin Herbert, hey, I know how to take you from here to that next level. And this is our game plan. This is what I need you to get better at. This is how I'm going to make the team better. And could Pete do that? Sure, maybe. But I don't see Pete Carroll coming in and saying to Justin Herbert, hey, man, I can develop the hell out of a quarterback, even though I've never really done that. And sure, Russell Wilson, but I think Russell Wilson largely was a stud, coming in. He was one of those guys that was pretty much automatic. And he got better over the years, but it wasn't like this leaps and bounds thing. Justin Herbert needs a playoff win, and he needs it in short order to feel good about it. And I agree. I think the expectation, if Jim gets this job, which I would expect him to, would be a playoff appearance at a minimum, and don't be surprised if they win a game. I would not be surprised by that even a little bit.
Yeah, and I just don't think that you can hire Pete Carroll at his. And again, it generally, I think fit and energy are much more important than the age. But Pete Carroll, I don't believe that Pete Carroll any longer relates to the incoming NFL player. And nowadays, that's who you're seeing, whether it is Houston. I look at some of the youth in Detroit. I certainly look at the guy like Brock Purdy in Sam Frog's Disco.
Mm-hmm.
I look at some of the young talent and guys like, Patrick Queen, and you look at Lamar Jackson. Does Pete Carroll relate to Lamar Jackson? He does not. And I think when you look at the NFL, this is turning more and more and more into a players' league. And if we learn anything from Adrian Griffin getting fired by the Milwaukee Bucks in less than a season today, the players matter. And I think if you look at Los Angeles, that roster is centered around one bro, and his name is Sex Machine, Justin Herbert. And what he wants, he gets. And I think if you're the Spanos family, you certainly, I am told, have had multiple conversations with Justin Herbert about his ability and desire to work with a guy like Jim Harbaugh. And I'm also told that Jim Harbaugh has spoken to Justin Herbert. So I think that it is very clear that this is a systematic move. And I think the Spanos family has erred on the side of caution here. They have not rushed into it. They have not blown through process. They have gotten everybody that's important in the organization, ownership, the players, the candidates. I don't think there's any question. Everybody is in lockstep that Jim Harbaugh is going to be the next head coach of that team. It's simply a matter of what you get done on the contract side, because Jim is not going to come cheap. But I think also this news today, and I think Michigan is probably behind the information. But when we have strong sourcing saying that Michigan and Jim Harbaugh are no longer talking, that's a big flipping deal, because that does not come out accidentally.
Yeah, Jim's too polarizing in the college ranks for that to just be a little
think
thing.
The relationship with Jim Harbaugh and Michigan has fallen apart. I think it is a huge slap in the face to Michigan what Jim Harbaugh is doing.
Totally agree.
By leaving that program the way it is, I just think it's a huge slap in the face.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll is a defensive coach, Christopher Shannon says. Certainly he is. Connor's PI firm, LOL. Michigan is seeking NIL. Could be. Jim Choi, age is just a number. Nah, not anymore.
Yeah,
Jim Harbaugh does not play young. Pete Carroll does not skew young. Jim Harbaugh does.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is that simple. Gumby fresh out. Pete Carroll was too old in 2004. He was a phenomenal coach at SC.
Yes,
the first 5 years in Seattle, he was a phenomenal coach. Chargers were paying Seeley $4 million per year. Those Spanos trust fund kids are going to pay over $11 million per year to get Harbaugh. Really? I think that's the question. But if you're Jim Harbaugh, you're going to ask for $12 million a year because you just won the national championship.
You've got the hammer, dude.
And again, this is a guy with no shame. He's not going to be like, well, look at all these violations I've committed. Maybe I should ask for 11.5 instead.
By the way,
12.
do the Spanoses even give a damn about that?
No.
I mean, come on, dude.
I don't think so.
I
really don't think so. It is. I think it is very interesting. I think it is very, very interesting that a guy like Jim Harbaugh just leaves Michigan high and dry, man. It's disappointing. Let's not pull any punches. It is incredibly disappointing that Jim Harbaugh is going to bail at this moment in time after year after year after year of Michigan supporting him, allowing him to do NFL searches. Like, I think it is remarkable
out for him.
He is, and he always has been.
Yeah.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
It's disappointing. Elizabeth MC. Jim first showed his cheating ways to me when he refused to play the Ohio State University during the COVID year because he knew he would lose and get fired.
The coronavirus.
It's not the first time I've heard that. And you really don't want to believe that. But I mean, until this whole thing happened, he had never beaten Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
And really, he hadn't won big games at Michigan as well. Mickey Quintana. I love it when the Raiders play the Chargers in LA. It's up basically a home game for the Raiders. It is indeed. I miss the LA Raiders. I miss Tom Flores and Al Davis and Marcus Allen and Willie Gault and Marcus Allen being banned from playing for the Raiders. And I miss the LA Raiders. I miss Ice Cube in the starter jacket. And, Christopher Shannon, Justin Herbert at worst should be like Josh Allen, making the playoffs annually, but not getting to the Super Bowl because your team isn't good enough.
Facts.
There is a lot of talk about Josh Allen lately. And I think this conversation about Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen, Jake, who do you have? Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen?
Well, of course you got to take Patty. I mean, there's this.
How is this even a discussion?
I don't know how you've got people at NFL Network or just pundits in general taking Josh over Patrick Mahomes. Look, I'm not denying that Josh has an absolute gun. I mean, dude's got a cannon, but winning matters. And again, it's not all on Josh. And I am a defender of Josh on some level. Hey, you can't help that Stephon Diggs can't catch a cold, apparently. I get it.
How did he drop that pass?
Right? Like you're supposed to be an elite wide receiver and you can't catch a bomb like that. That's unacceptable. That's not on Josh Allen. Like, okay, great. Dude. But ultimately,
holy cow.
Ultimately, I look at this and I say, okay, 1 year is a one-off, right? This is 5 years now, dude. This is a track record of failing against Patrick Mahomes. And so to me, the only question that remains is not if Josh is better than Patty. Is he as talented? Sure, but he's not better than him. He hasn't executed at a high enough level. He hasn't won enough games. So is it McDermott? Is it Josh Allen? Is it the wide receiver room? I don't know. But what I do know is that organization needs a change of some kind, and they need someone to step in and do a job and get you over the hump. It's that simple.
Yep. As you debate in your head, Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen, make sure you hit the like button. Here on YouTube, we've had over 3,700 views today and only 115 likes. Please hit the like button. I think I look at one thing very clearly at a quarterback, and I think every big-time quarterback in the NFL has an arm. I mean, there's just no doubt about that, whether it's Herbert or Josh Allen or Mahomes or Lamar or whatever quarterbacks you want to point to. But it's leadership in the moment. And I think the thing that is so remarkable is that Josh Allen, was it his fault that they lost that game? No. I think there are misconceptions in this league that field goal would have won Buffalo the game. It would have only tied it, and you still had 1 minute and 40 seconds to go. Is it Josh Allen's fault they lost the game? No. But is he the starting quarterback, and did they win the game? He is, and they didn't. So the buck stops at the quarterback on 9 games out of 10. The issue is Patrick Mahomes wins games. How many times is this dude going to go to an AFC championship game? Well, apparently it's every year. And you consider, and we could talk about talent. Yes, he has Jason Kelce, but Travis Kelce rather. But who else does he really have that is an established weapon like a Stephon Diggs? And then as an established weapon, you get one of the most incredible throws that I think we have ever seen, and your unbelievable weapon doesn't catch it. And that to me is remarkable that Stephon Diggs dropped that ball. And it is this slander of NFL quarterbacks that we love to do so much. And the thing that drives me nuts is I look at Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Why is he not being praised at the same level that a guy like a Josh Allen is being praised? Why are we praising a CJ Stroud, but yet somehow Brock Purdy's just not good enough? He's a system quarterback. Why do we do that? I've never understood it. And I go back to Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen. There is no comparison. Patrick Mahomes is a far better and more accomplished quarterback than Josh Allen. Josh Allen, I love the comparison that so many people have made lately, which is Josh Allen has got to pull that monkey off his back a la Steve Young. Because until you do it, and until you win that game like Steve Young finally did, you're not going anywhere. And your legacy is going to be deeply impacted until you figure out a way, Josh Allen, to win that game like Steve Young did. And I believe that Josh Allen is a very good quarterback. I believe that he can win games. What I do also believe is, and what I know is, he can't win a game yet. And so I guess the question, Jake, is how passionately do you believe in Josh Allen?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where Josh is simply just someone who, again, is massively talented. The guy is like, I'm watching this game and dude bombs it like 70 yards down the field. Diggs is right here, can't catch the football. And so, yeah, do I believe in Josh's ability? Yes, I believe in dude's ability, believe in his talent, believe in his leadership, believe in what he brings as a quarterback. But what I don't believe in is Sean McDermott. I don't believe in Stephon Diggs. No, I do not. The guy is not showing up. I'm getting way too much, hey, you should get a max, or you should leave, or, you should change your circumstance. Like, that's not good enough anymore. Move on from Diggs. Bring in a new head coach. And that's the other thing I look at, dude. You've got head coaches out here that could take this job.
That's right.
Like, you've got guys who maybe don't have all the losses in the playoffs that Sean McDermott has.
That's right.
But are more than capable of leading this football team and saying, hey, look, we've got a stud at quarterback. Clearly, and I want to say this too, because I hate people questioning this. Josh Allen's a franchise guy. Okay, can we?
No doubt about it.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
He's a franchise level quarterback. That said, they need to get over the hump as an organization. So when we did, it must have been 6-8 weeks ago now, whenever it was, like when all the 9/11 stuff came out with McDermott, and that was kind of their scandal that they handled. For me, I was like, I'm over it. I'm done. Not even just from the scandal standpoint, but like not winning. We have scandal. Like, what are we doing? It's not good enough anymore if I'm the Bills.
Totally agree. As we talk about Jim Harbaugh to the Chargers, let's get some of your thoughts in here. Jim Choi, in today's football, 9 years with one team is an eternity. Oh my God.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
It is.
It really is.
But I think it speaks volumes to what they're doing in Kansas City. I think, again, what we're seeing with Bill Belichick and his process, it speaks volumes. Like, I think about this Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes conversation. You guys understand that Patty's only lost to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Like, do you guys get that? Like, that's how good this guy is, dude. Patrick Mahomes is literally that freaking good. And so when I look at this comparison, it's not even a question that Patrick Mahomes is better. The question is not Patty or Josh. The question is the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills. And unfortunately, it's been way slated towards the Kansas City Chiefs because the Buffalo Bills are way too loyal to a guy that gets them into the postseason and loses over and over and over again. And by the way, just need to roll this out there too. Patrick Mahomes has had to deal with guys like, what was it, D4 jumping off sides and costing them a game. Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember that Patty could have won more had it not been for the defense, fumbling, if you will. See what I did there? So that's why I say, this is not a Patty versus Josh Allen. This is not a, Diggs versus apparently Kadarius Toney. That's not the conversation. The conversation is franchises in the league either do a bunch of winning or don't, i.e. Cincinnati. Where's Cincinnati at? No one's talking about him. Oh, Joe Burrow got hurt last season. Okay, fine. Lost season, fine. I'm down with it. That's cool. But what's the reality of their situation? When I look at these three, Cincinnati's an organization that rode the wave, were the Cinderella of the league, then they got established, and now they haven't done much winning because their boy got hurt. So again, Patrick Mahomes is on another level, and it shouldn't be some disrespectful ass thing to say that Josh Allen is not as good.
I agree. Roger Dodger, a Michigan fan, seems to smoke a lot of crack.
Well, I could have told you that, dude.
Crack.
Okay, is a hell of a drug.
Out of touch with reality completely. And I get it. It's what we do as sports fans now. We are just, it's what we do in this country now. And I go back to what we talked about so much during the Harbaugh scandal. Oh, everybody's doing it. Why can't we?
Everybody is outraged.
Oh, the rules. I don't like that rule. So we're not going to apply it to ourselves. Sue them. Let's go to the Supreme Court, right? That's what we do in this country now. If we don't like a rule, we simply don't follow it.
Bro, the neighborhood judge isn't good enough anymore. Screw him. We're going to the mountaintop, bro. That's
right?
what it is.
You look at the Pac-12 meltdown. You look at all of these meltdowns, and it's, well, we don't like the rule. Let's go to the Supreme Court. In all of it. Jim Harbaugh, I'm totally innocent. Yeah, then why didn't they fight for you?
You know what I have to give Michigan credit for, too? It's that, but it's 2.0. We don't like the rule. Let's go to court. Let's get piped. Let's not go to court.
Let's get piped.
Is that not what happened?
It is what happened.
Oh, you
It's
stepped
exactly what
out
happened.
because you got piped by the mountain of evidence they dropped on your head.
Yeah,
That's
I agree.
what we do.
Jim Choi, Mickey, Lakers won one in virus season. Okay, bus our trust fund kids. Well, Jeannie hasn't done a great job, if we're being honest. We asked Sikowski in Plymouth Canton, how much tuning does Herbert really need? Oh, I think he needs a lot. I think one of the things that Justin Herbert struggles with is third level. I think that he locks on a lot of times to his first two reads, and because that offensive line has been so bad, you see it happening. He looks one way, he'll look to his second read, and a lot of times he's going to throw that ball whether it's there or not. That, or because he's taken so many hits now, he is throwing a lot of balls out of bounds. And one of the things you see with him, that if you go back and watch tape on him, his deep ball now a lot of times is suffering because while he is throwing to a spot, he's looking at that rush, and that ball is out of bounds now a lot of times, or it's back to the middle. He is a guy that, one, I would love to see him be much more on his front foot. I do not believe in this day and age of the NFL that you can be a step and throw guy. You've got to always be on that front foot and have the release. And I think he's gotten out of his mechanics a little bit. I think his understanding of development in offense. I also think if he had better route trees and better combinations, more thoughtful schematics on the offensive side of the ball, I think he would be a far better quarterback. I think if you had better play calling with imagine if Austin Eckler was not your running back. Imagine if Gibbs or any of your top running backs in this league right now.
Pacheco.
A faster guy who can run through the A gap consistently. Because one of the big complaints about Eckler is he bounces the ball a lot. You in this league, especially in the AFC, and I think we see it with Pacheco, I think we see it with a lot of guys. Aaron Jones in Green Bay is a great example of this. You got to run to the gap where it is. And if that gap's not there, okay, take a side step. Blake Corum at Michigan does this lovely. His sidestep, his power hop is remarkable. You don't get that with the Chargers offense.
Yeah, the jump cut is prolific.
They don't run inside.
Yeah.
And in this league, you have to run inside because you have to be able to convert. And if you are teams like the Philadelphia Eagles that are on the tush push, and you guys, I'm telling you, there is a lot of development that will happen naturally if they have a better system, a better, I'm not going to say game plan, but if you have a better vision for what that offense is.
Bro, it needs to be an offensive culture. Like, it can't be a defensive culture with a gunslinger quarterback.
And I wonder, does Kellen Moore need to go back and be a quarterback coach? Does Kellen Moore's offenses, Mike McCarthy ran circles around Kellen Moore. Now, listen, Mike McCarthy is one of the greatest offensive minds I think we've ever seen in this league. But Kellen Moore certainly has regressed. Now, I think he has terrible skill position players, or a lack. I shouldn't say that. Let me be careful. In Los Angeles with the Chargers, you have a lack of skill positions.
Mm-hmm.
If we learned anything from Puka Nacua,
the guy who didn't do anything,
you've got to have speed that can do a variety of things. If Amon-Ra St. Brown is an example of this, if you look in Kansas City with your guy Pacheco or Rashee Rice, I think if you look around the league with the best teams, you have multiple guys with speed that can do different things. That's what you don't have with the Chargers. And I love Keenan Allen. He's a possession receiver. And I think I look at that roster, and I love Palmer outside, a guy that you didn't even know existed until I started kicking ass on Prize Picks with him.
Isn't that the point? Like you're not wrong, but all jokes aside, isn't that the point of the Chargers issues? Like, we should know who Palmer is. We should know who these different dudes are that clearly are talented. Like, that's the thing that the Chargers have had a problem. Again, Buffalo, you got a defensive head coach trying to play offense. Like, that's not going to get it done anymore.
Yeah, I think there are too many. Like, again, I just look at Bobby Slowick. I look at Ben Johnson. I look at Callahan being hired in Tennessee. Like, there's too many young offensive guys floating around this league to be dicking around with guys that are, with all due respect, Dan Quinn, in a situation where you don't have a quarterback. I'm asking again, why are you going to hire a defensive head coach in Washington when Bobby Slowick is a guy that you should be all over getting that deal done as soon as you can?
I don't know.
As soon
you
as
don't know how to run an organization.
As soon as Ben Johnson is available, he's on a plane. He's not going to a parade, right? Like, as soon as he's available. And I struggle with these plotting, methodical coaching searches for teams like the Atlanta Falcons. It should be a no-brainer. What you need is a proven commodity. That's what you need. You need Vrabel or you need Belichick. Seattle, you need you better hire Mike Vrabel in Seattle, because that's a perfect fit. Because Mike Vrabel handles the defense and allows his offensive guys to do their job.
And by the way, you're an organization that values a head coach who doesn't rock the boat. And Vrabel doesn't rock the boat. And
I think my struggle is that, yes, to your point, I think Justin Herbert needs work. He's a fine quarterback.
I just don't think we value, and again, I can't believe I'm saying this because, it's Jim, or likely Jim, I should say. But offensive guys need offensive minds helping them. Yes. Think of it this way. Like, think about Justin Herbert in the room with his quarterback coach and, with the OC, let's say, looking at tape. Like you're going to see the game a more similar way if you're offensive minds. If you've got a defensive guy watching tape with a quarterback, or if you've got a defensive guy as a head coach leaning on his OC, who's leaning on his quarterback coach, who's leaning on Justin to look at the game a different way than maybe Justin sees it, that's a problem, i.e. the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Like, again, players matter. And to develop this guy, you need someone who's got the goods for developing quarterbacks. And Jim does have that.
And I go back to the greatness of Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell is not an offensive guy, and he's not a defensive guy, but he is the guy. and he has a personnel department that delivers him Amon-Ra St. Brown, that delivers him Jameson Williams and Josh Reynolds and Sam Laporta. And you now, granted, this situation up front now is a real question with Jackson and Ragnow.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, listen, I am not breaking news, but Frank Ragnow is one of the finest offensive linemen in the entire NFL. And if he is not available this weekend, you're fucked. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't know. Excuse my French. I don't know how you compensate for that loss.
Yeah, because that's obviously going to hurt your run game.
It
And
really
they need
is
the run game.
I am really disappointed that, a guy like Dan Campbell's not going to have his full arsenal because you just have really important guys that are dinged up.
Yeah.
And San Francisco is well rested, and hell, we saw Rusty, but I think you look at the rest of this lineup and you look at guys like Penei Sewell. I mean, his second level and run blocking and screen blocking, and I mean, he is today's modern offensive lineman, right? And that doesn't even speak to guys like Hutchinson, who they drafted and developed on their own. You look at what Aiden Hutchinson's become. You look at Benito Jones. You look at Alex Anzalone's not a guy that probably makes a whole lot of football teams early in his career, but he's a star with the Detroit Lions.
Making a difference.
Right? I mean, it is. Now, our CJ is Kirby Joseph a dirty player? Well, now it doesn't matter. Ask me in February, right? Ask me if, is a lot of people say, how good is Brian Branch? I don't care. Ask me in February. They're worried. He's worried about Brandon Ayuk right now. They've got a group of guys that is good enough. I don't think they're good enough to beat the 49ers, as we've talked about, but they're good enough. That's a really quality group of personnel there.
Yeah.
A really quality group.
100%.
That's the difference between Detroit and the Chargers. The Chargers have this really good quarterback who, once he gets under the helm of a really good quarterback guru, he's going to be elite. There's no question about that. He's already got the arm talent. He needs a little more. I think he needs a little more football, the mental prowess of a quarterback. I think he needs a few mechanical tweaks, but he's not far away. I look at Jared Goff. Jared Goff has done more than enough to be what you need in Detroit. You have to have a complete pie. That's why I keep going back to Detroit. Detroit's got just enough. The 49ers, again, I ask why the Brock Purdy slurring. Why are we ripping Brock Purdy? I don't get that. They're in the NFC Championship game again. Why is Brock Purdy not being talked about with Josh Allen? Why is Brock Purdy not being talked about with the likes of the other elite quarterbacks in this league?
Yeah, I think that the reason Brock gets hate is because of Kyle Shanahan. And I think everyone just simply says, literally, I think this is what happens. Hey, it's Kyle Shanahan. Dude is a prolific designer of offenses, and anybody and their mom could thrive in that offense. I'm not saying that, but I think that's what most people say about Brock Purdy. And I look at it and I say, is he the leader that like, does he display the type of leadership that Patty or Josh does? Well, probably not, but he doesn't need to. That's not how their team is built. It's not his job on that team. Yeah, like that's not their culture. That's not how it's set up. And I think, because of that, he gets a lot of hate. But I'm sitting here and I know, you either love or hate Dan Orlovsky, but what you can't dispute is the guy puts out film on these guys. And I'm sitting here watching, Brock Purdy's tape, and I'm like, dude, this guy's putting this ball in tiny ass windows when he needs to do it, like in clutch
under pressure.
Moments. Now we're watching this game, and what'd you text me? Hey, does Brock have the goods here? I don't know. And I think that's what hurts him. You don't have a doubt if Josh can complete the throw. We're not wondering if Josh Allen has the cannon. We're wondering, is he going to throw it and is it going to be a pick, or is he going to throw it and is his wide receiver going to drop it? Like, that's the difference, I think.
And a buddy of mine DMs me and makes a very good point. You're making your own point on Brock Purdy because he has weapons. Josh Allen does not. Now, okay, Gabe Davis is injured. I agree with that. But I'm telling you now, Josh Allen's got, in my opinion, enough talent to win that game. And around him, I mean, it's a good argument. I mean, Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle are 2,000-yard wide receivers.
But let me put it this way. You're one injury away from not being a good team, right? Like, I agree. He's got a lot of talent. But what did that offense look like without Debo? Well, it looked like a way different offense. It looked completely different. This isn't, again, like you can't have the scheme argument both ways, right? So, yeah, okay, scheme hurts them, but that hurts the total flow of the offense. That's what makes Patty and Josh different, right? That's what makes these guys who run more traditional offenses better, because it's up to them to create. Now, he did a bunch of audibling. He put his guys in positions to have success, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. But he will not get the accolades and credit he deserves until they win a Super Bowl.
Yep, I agree. Hour number 3 of the Monty Show, presented by our good friends at TryDayTrading.com. TryDayTrading.com. Every financial problem or question you have, TryDayTrading.com. Man, I've got a lot of credit card debt. TryDayTrading.com. Man, I don't know if I am going to be able to pay my mortgage next month. TryDayTrading.com. Student loan debt, TryDayTrading.com. Tax debt, TryDayTrading.com. The answer is simple, but everything that you want in this life is hiding behind the work you're unwilling to do. And right now I am telling you, go and do the work. Go and make the effort. TryDay Trading makes it really simple for you. Get to TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Sign up for the 30-day, $10 trial membership. And you guys, you're going to see in the first 24 hours, you're going to have a meeting with a coach. You're going to start trading in simulators. Like, they're going to get you up and running. And you're going to make a decision in 30 days. And it's going to be impossible for you to say no, because you see the money that you should be making that could pay off your house early, that could buy you that Porsche you've always talked about. But you're not willing to take the step, the easy little step, to make a huge difference in your financial life. At TryDayTrading.com/Monty. Make sure you tell them you heard about it on the Monty Show. If you're just tuning in today, a little breaking news. Jim Harbaugh and Michigan are in more NCAA trouble related to the sign stealing operation. As we reported several weeks ago, now CBS has picked up on the story that it's a level 1 violation for Jim Harbaugh if Connor Stalions is found guilty.
This is a code 10 abort.
It does not matter if Jim Harbaugh knew or if the athletic director knew about the sign stealing operation. It was their job to know. And the NCAA put in a rule, as I told you 3 months ago, that essentially says it is the responsibility of the head coach and the athletic director to control what the coaches are doing. If Connor Stalions is found guilty of sign stealing, and let me remind you, he was terminated by Michigan, and in a draft said, hey, Jim Harbaugh didn't know that Connor Stalions was executing this operation. Connor Stalions, when he is found guilty of sign stealing, they will add another level 1 violation against Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. It is just the hits continuing, and maybe it doesn't matter to Jim Harbaugh because Jim Harbaugh and the Los Angeles Chargers are close to an agreement. Our sources have told us that largely the I's and T's are being dotted and crossed, and it's simply a matter of timing and how much money they want to pay Jim Harbaugh. I have been told that they would love to pay Jim Harbaugh $8 million. Jim would be more around the $12 million range. But Jim Harbaugh, I am also told, is no longer talking to Michigan about a contract, and that his I'm not going to say demand, that feels strong, but his insistence on being essentially made harmless in NCAA violations, meaning they could not punish him with termination. They could not punish him financially. Michigan was unwilling to add that into his contract, and Jim Harbaugh essentially said, okay, well, I'm going to go to the Chargers then, which is exactly where Jim Harbaugh is. I am told they are going to meet with him in person tonight and tomorrow, and I would fully expect Jim Harbaugh to be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers by the end of the week. Does that feel like the right move to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the best fit for him. You know, guys like Vrabel or Belichick or like, you know, anyone else, Pete Carroll, like it's not. Those are not great fits. Like, you know, Jim, be damned, he is the best fit, dude. I mean, you know, all the nonsense and, you know, luggage that he would bring, he's the best fit. And I don't even hate saying it. I just think that it's what I always say. If you're going to sign Jim Harbaugh, know the consequences. If you're going to do 100 on the freeway, be okay with the ticket you might get, right? Like, that's just what it is. And I'm tired of people being surprised by this guy. Like, at some point, we need to say, okay, yeah, this guy's a proven performer, right? Like, I would expect, like, and I don't know what you think, I think it's a realistic expectation. Inside 3 years, we're in the AFC Championship game. Is that not the expectation? I mean, is that not what you're bringing this dude in for?
I think it is. I think it absolutely is. Let's see. Let's get a couple more in here because then we got to get to Lakers and Jazz making trades. Drew Dozer, which I believe is properly pronounced. The Latin pronunciation is Drew Does Her. Good to see you, Drew. Isn't Lincoln Riley making 14 at USC? No, he's making $10 million base, and he bonuses up depending on how many wins and bowls and championships and whatnot. I'll admit that I was wrong about Lamar Jackson. I did not think he was a good QB as he is. Lamar really can run and throw. Well, he's put a lot of work into throwing and getting a huge contract because of it. But I think we saw some vulnerabilities even against Houston. It is very interesting to see what he will be able to do and how he will be able to do that. I find it very interesting. I'm like, do you believe that Lamar Jackson's a guy who can carry a club?
Yeah, I mean, he can definitely carry a club. I think that, yeah, we saw some areas of saying areas of concern might even be harsh, like just areas that he needs to get better at. I think he needs to get better at throwing the football away in a more timely fashion. He needs to get better at, identifying the check down. I feel like there's a lot of times where Lamar holds it and then the check down is not even there because you've held it so long because you're rolling on a play where it wasn't designed for you to roll. And so then you want to throw it out at the last second. And I understand, he's a capable runner, a plus runner, but that doesn't mean that you should run constantly. Now, on the flip side of that, when you say, hey, can he carry a club? Yes, he can absolutely carry a club because it's a cheat code on 4th and 1 with 90 seconds left and the AFC championships on the line.
I
that's
think
the thing.
I think it is one of those things where you look at, the like Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator of the Ravens, allowed to do his job. You have a guy in John Harbaugh that is more, more of a leader a la Dan Campbell, but he's got really impressive guys around him like Todd Monken that have put a lot of time and effort and energy into developing Lamar Jackson. And Todd Monken comes in just one season and turns Lamar Jackson into probably the MVP. Right. So, I mean, this is a guy that you very good about. But again, he's a 35-year man. He's a guy that worked for the Bucks, the Browns. Like, he's experienced. He knows how to develop a quarterback. And I think you have to do that. Cohen Nickel, is this all you're going to talk about? Well, I mean, obviously, Jim Harbaugh is a massive story.
What would you like us to talk about?
Well, we're about to get to the Lakers and the Jazz making a trade. But, I mean, if you want us to focus on this. Katie Rader, what is shaking, gang? Good to see you, Katie. James says, if the Ravens can win with a great defense and Trent Dilfer is QB, they can win it all with this defense and Lamar as quarterback. Yeah, absolutely. I think Lamar is more than enough. The Nye guy, hey, how are you, bud? Lamar is a stud for sure, but this offseason, he needs to feast daily on Steve McNair footage, dude. I want him more than anything to be a comfortable pocket passer for himself, because I don't have any idea how Kansas City goes in there and wins. I mean, I would love to see it.
Well, I think the win is, again, the win is in the unknown of what Patrick Mahomes is capable of in the moment. I mean, again, there's no real way on paper to say, hey, yeah, we can go in there and win a ball game. I mean, obviously, they just showed you what they could do against Buffalo, but, the Ravens are obviously a very different beast. I more look at it as, hey, like, yeah, we'll make picks on this, obviously, as the weekend gets closer, but I think it's a dangerous proposition to look at this game just on paper. I mean, you're looking at two of the best quarterbacks in the league who can create plays that simply do not exist and are not available by simply making defenders miss, by buying more time. And I think that's where I say, okay, and I haven't even looked at the lines yet, but that's where I say, hey, yeah, sure, if the Ravens are favored by 3, let's say, whatever it is, like, this is a pick 'em for me. I look at this and I say, dude, is Travis Kelce going to pop off, or are they going to punish him? Is a guy like, Rashee Rice gonna have that bomb down the field, Or is it going to be a thing where the Ravens defense makes more plays? That's why I say it's such a difficult game to pick, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it's unwinnable. I just think it's
not unwinnable.
To climb, dude.
I don't think it's unwinnable. I just think, my God.
I think, and I also say, I think you're going to have to turn Lamar over to win that game, though. Like,
absolutely.
You're not going to win that game by just simply playing perfect football.
You need to apply pressure to him mentally. And hey, listen, Spagnuolo's a very good defensive coordinator in Kansas City. And I mean, that defense is immensely talented. I mean, I just don't know. Lamar is so tough to scheme. And if they can disguise him a little bit and make him run right, make him roll to the right. He is notoriously
roll to the right and throw left.
He's notorious for it. Teddy Wayman, what's up? Hope the slaying of Draper Cougs is going well. Good to see you. Jeremiah Champion, good to see you. Christopher Shannon, all hail the Tile King. Teddy Wayman, the Tile King of Utah. Mike Smith, the Cougar King of Utah. See, Teddy, your reputation precedes you. Teddy says, good to be here, fellas. Exactly right. Jason Ritchie. Hey, Monty, do you guys think that the NCAA could impose a death penalty on Michigan if the evidence is very overwhelming and damning? There's no such thing as a death penalty. Death penalty is essentially we're going to take 30 scholarships. We're not going to let you recruit. And we are going to limit your ability to hire and fire coaches. That's today's death penalty. They can make your existence very difficult. Bowl bans, postseason TV, in-season TV. They're going to make it very difficult for you to exist as a program for probably 2 to 3 years. And I think we saw that at Arizona State. We certainly saw it at USC. But I think this is one of the most egregious cases in the history of the NCAA.
And honestly, I think the quote-unquote death penalty is probably not going to be able to shake a stick to what they got coming from Michigan, because I agree they're making it personal.
I think that's exactly right. All the boys are here. Greg Hawkins is in. Jimmy Otson is in. LFG is in. Let's go. Joseph Carruthers is in. Good to see you. Just in time to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. The Chicago Bulls.
Now,
talking about DeMar DeRozan.
Just like we've discussed, just like we started the show.
Yeah.
We would never say we told you so, right? I mean, that's like we're bigger than that. We always take the high road. We told you so here, boys.
Never.
Come on.
Never tell you that.
Come on.
So Lakers are chasing DeMar DeRozan. And what did I tell you about DeJounte Murray? The Lakers have cooled on DeJounte Murray, and a lot of it is related to his inability to be a good teammate. And culture, I think that we've seen over the last 2 seasons with AD and LeBron, when they have had a lack of culture, they have had a lack of success.
Yep.
And so I think there is some volatility right there. But I think the Lakers are hot on the market. And our sources confirmed to us today that the Lakers and the Jazz have indeed had serious talks around Collin Sexton. And I think that it was described to me today that the Lakers and the Jazz have momentum towards getting a deal done. Now, the question is, what is the price tag on Collin Sexton? I don't think there's any doubt Danny would like a first-round pick for Collin Sexton. It is a rejuvenating season. I don't think there's any doubt about that for Collin Sexton. He came into this year, as we talked about, wanting to prove a point. And I think that he has done that. Now, the issue is that you've lost 2 in a row here, and you've got to turn it around tonight in New Orleans, which is going to be tough. But if you look at Collin Sexton as a player, and I will sit here and fight people on it, I think he has been their best player over the last 6 weeks. Is he their best player? No, that's Lauri Markkanen. I think that they know what they have in a trade chip on Collin Sexton. When you look at the numbers across the board, I mean, he's having a renaissance of a season. I think he is far more capable of competing physically this year than he was at any point last year. I think the fact that he is shooting many more threes a game, in fact, I think it's 2.5 more a game, and shooting 37%. That's a tip of the cap. The fact that he's a 48% field goal shooter, like he's having a hell of a season. The question is, what is the price tag for him? It is not a first-round pick. I think Danny's going to ask for that. I think the Lakers are going to say no to that. I also don't think, and I could be wrong, I do not believe that Collin Sexton is a guy that gets you Austin Reeves. I think that would be a very difficult trade for the Lakers to make. Now, does that mean that you can't ask for Austin Reeves? Sure you can. I think that you are far more likely to try and make a deal work, and the Lakers would like you to offload D'Angelo Russell from them. And I think if you're the Jazz, I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Statistically speaking, Collin Sexton and D'Angelo Russell are very similar players. It's simply that Collin Sexton is more of an energizer than D'Angelo Russell is. And D'Lo's been an awkward fit for the Lakers. But I don't know what that deal ultimately at the end of the day looks like. How many players are in that deal? Are the Lakers looking to take on THT's deal, or are the Lakers looking to take Kelly Olynyk? I don't know. I think if the Jazz can get a deal done with the Knicks on Collin Sexton, on Jordan Clarkson, because I think that's a deal that also has some momentum behind it. I think it is likely your priority not to let Jordan Clarkson walk away for nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can. And I think, again, when you're talking about the path of this rebuild, like these are the trades that, will set you on a true path or set you awry. And, I don't know, like D'Lo would be a decent fit on this team. I think that he's the extra scoring piece that this team desperately needs. But ultimately, if you're the Jazz, you're going to move Sexton. But the Clarkson situation continues to be a conundrum. You've kept him way too long, and there's no getting away from it. And ultimately, when you move him for a second rounder as part of a bigger deal, you're going to look back and you're going to say, yeah, probably should have moved him 2 seasons ago. Probably should have moved him that same year where Donnie and Rudy got moved. Like, you probably should have done that. And that's the hard part. Like, I understand that as an organization, like when you go through a rebrand and now you're rebuilding, there's a lot of happening, rebrands, rebuilds, redevelopment, like, and then you lose David Fizdale. Like, there's been a lot of change in this organization, and I get it, but winning cures all. So what are we dragging our feet for?
Yeah, I think if you are to add Sexton and Olynyk and you make a deal on a guy like D'Angelo Russell, and let's say you throw in a Gabe Vincent to make a number work, are the Lakers willing to do that? I don't know. I think if you are the Lakers, there's no doubt that you are one of the most aggressive teams in the trade market right now. I don't think there's any doubt about that, because I think they know they're also not good enough. And I think the Lakers want one thing and one thing only, and that's to win a championship right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like that to me is what matters. And I think if you're the Lakers, you also don't want to damage your long-term salary cap situation here either. And by making a deal that involves D'Angelo, I think that's very interesting. I am curious. I don't know what they are committed to long term on. I think Collin's got, I want to say he's got 2 more years left. He does. Collin Sexton's got 2 more years. It's wild to me that he's making more money than Lauri Markkanen. Like, just every time I look at that, it is
that's
incredible.
Why I say the money game is the one that matters, not necessarily the on the floor. Like, the on the floor helps your money game.
I would agree with that.
But the money games don't matter.
But to have an expiring contract like D'Angelo Russell,
yes.
I mean, that's valuable. That's $17 million coming off your books.
You put D'Lo on the Jazz, I have to think that's a motivated player to go out and continue to fortify his worth. I mean,
and he is great in transition, which is where this team is even better, if we're being honest. I mean,
yeah,
D'Angelo Russell allows you to play faster basketball, and if you wind up trading Jordan Clarkson, which I can't believe you wouldn't, I think D'Angelo gives you stylistically a good fit, and then you get an expiring contract.
Yeah.
You know, like it just feels like it's a good fit to me. And I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I really do. Teddy Wayman says, I don't think D'Lo fits in Utah. Well, culturally, basketball wise, I think he fits fine. And it just doesn't matter whether he wants to be here or not, because he's a free agent.
And he's not a big enough star to command that kind of attention.
I would agree with that. 100%. Jeff Weber says, peace out, homies. Got to go watch my son's high school game. Have a good one, man.
Hey, see you, bro.
Enjoy the Alaska sunset. Does it set this time of year? Monty, please give Teddy some meat. Hey, man, I owe Teddy a ribeye.
Did you just say give Teddy some meat?
Yeah, I got some meat for you. Johnny Gonzalez, Adrian Griffin out in Milwaukee. What? Yeah, how about the Milwaukee Bucks whacking their head coach already?
Yeah, it's
I think
underperforming. They're underachieving.
Well, and Giannis is unhappy. I think that is as simple as it gets. You listen to some of the folks that have, because I actually don't think they're underachieving. I think that you are second in the East. You're a 30-win team. Like, are you really underachieving? I think you have a problem, and that problem is that guys are unhappy. He is a young head coach who is in his first year there, and he I think had player relations issues.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to sit here and think that this was anything but personality conflicts. And the funny thing is, and I'm curious, what does ESPN do if Doc Rivers gets that job? Because he's the perfect fit.
Yeah. I don't know what ESPN does.
You're
going to
screwed.
Someone from within, I'm sure.
You are screwed. Like, Doc Rivers and Doris Burke have been uncomfortable to begin with. Hey, Jeff Van Gundy, you got a minute? Like, I mean, it's unbelievable to me how bad. I think it's been a terrible move for ESPN. But yeah, Adrian Griffin got whacked, and Doc Rivers looks to be the leading candidate there.
Yeah.
I don't think they're in a bad space. I think the players didn't like him.
And
that's
fair.
what I think.
And again, the players matter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Teddy Wayman, I guess you're right. Who, me? An expiring contract is valuable.
Stay hard.
I just don't think the Jazz make the move if it involves Sexton. I think they would trade Collin Sexton. I think Collin Sexton is a difficult personality. I think him and Will Hardy have always had.
We all remember the fight on the bench, dude.
Him and Will Hardy have always had, I don't know if issues is painting it too bleakly. They've always had conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, Collin's a guy that knows I think he is quickly working his way into being one of the top scoring point guards in the NBA. There's no doubt. But I don't think you're looking for a scoring point guard here. You're looking for a guy who can score, but much more of a Keontae type player. Keontae.
Yeah.
Baba beans.
Yeah. No, look, I think D'Lo's not like 100% book it, rubber stamp it fit on the team, but I also think that he's a good enough fit to do the deal. And I think for D'Lo, that's a guy who's sitting here on the Lakers trying to make his way, got benched, came back to the starting lineup. It's been kind of rough for him. I'm not gonna lie. Like, he's been inconsistent. He's been loved. He's been hated, and now he's back in the starting lineup. So if you send him to the Jazz, that's a guy, again, like I say, I would guess he'd be motivated heading into free agency. And for the Jazz,
so.
That's what you're looking for.
I have no doubt. And I think you have to, in this day and age in the NBA, understand that clubs like the Jazz, who are a small market team that don't often succeed in free agency at a very high level, you have to leverage the contracts you have on your roster. And right now, your most friendly contract is, without question, Lauri Markkanen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think he goes to $18 million next year. But Lauri Markkanen knows when he's got it good, because I don't believe, and I think Lauri doesn't believe, that he's a number one. If you put him on the Lakers, can you just say, okay, Anthony Davis, we're going to trade you because we've got LeBron and Lauri Markkanen? No, I don't think he can do that. I don't think he can do.
Lauri's an upgrade to Rui.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. but he's not a number one.
Yeah.
And I think it's why teams because I think the Knicks needed Lauri Markkanen, but I think they worry about, is he the Chicago Bulls Lauri Markkanen, or is he the Utah Jazz Lauri Markkanen?
Right.
Because if I don't build my team around him to succeed, is he going to give me the numbers he's giving you in Utah? And the answer is no. He's not going to do that. So I think the Jazz are very smart not to trade him. And I've been told repeatedly, and I think Tony Jones is the first one to report this, that the Jazz have pulled him off the market. Unless you're going to come with a massive offer, which in January, February, you're not going to do that. That's a summer deal. And I still don't think they'll trade him over the summer. Why would you? Not at this level. I just don't think that they necessarily want to trade him. Ryan Smith is a very involved owner.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I think if we learned anything from the Collin Sexton, or the Jordan Clarkson situation, mistakes have been made because of Ryan Smith's involvement.
Agreed.
So
look no further than JC.
Ishmael Montoya.
Hey.
What's up, Montoya? Ho-ho! I don't know, because I can't. It's my show. Is there anything that the investigation against Harbaugh can affect the LA Chargers? I'm sure LA has consulted and thought through it. There's nothing. This is exactly like Pete Carroll. It is. If you look at the college basketball coaches, Calvin Sampson, point to the guy that went professional and had no repercussions. That's what Jim Harbaugh's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I also would go back and remind you that Jim Harbaugh's main motivation here has never been to win at Michigan. In my opinion, and I think this is not rocket science, but in my opinion, his main motivation is to win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
And I also would point out the guy's not young anymore.
No.
I think he's going to be 61.
But he's just young enough.
He is and he skews younger.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't think so, Ishmael. I wouldn't worry about it. I really would not. Boss Frog, hey guys, how's it going? Good, man. Hanging a little left today, but that's fine. That's fine. Had a great golf range session this morning. So I'm sitting there banging my PXG driver.
Yeah, Gen 6.
And I naturally hit a fade. And I've done a lot of work. If you follow me on Instagram, the Monty Show, MONTY, the Monty Show.
The Monty program.
If you look at my swings, you'll see my swing. This asshole over here sent me a video last night. I think your swing's improved at all? From last May.
Like some of the first swings we ever did.
Terrible. But I'm hitting my driver, and there's this guy just watching me hit.
Yeah.
And I'm banging. Admittedly, now I'm a little frustrated because my ball is I hit a fade off the drive, off the tee. I hit a fade that generally would be left and fade back to the middle. Today it was left and fade past the middle. And it was within, I don't know the dispersion.
Yeah.
It was in the dispersion, right? Like
the spray shot.
Yeah, the spray shot. So it was fine. But when you work as hard as I've worked on that swing, you want it to be good. And it wasn't good. And so at one point, and I put it on my Instagram, I may or not let an F-bomb go. And I hit a ball, and the guy walks over, and he's like, what, was that not good? And it's like, well, I said by my reaction, you probably know that I don't think it was good.
That's what fucking ticks me the fuck off.
I didn't light the guy up.
No,
I just said based on my reaction, you could guess I don't think it was good. And we started talking about it, and he's like, yeah, I hit a fade too, but mine goes 230 yards, and I outdrive myself with a rescue. And I'm like, yeah, I drive the ball well. I'm in the 280s, and he's like, oh, wow, yeah. And I step up and I hit the next ball like 299 right down the middle. I kind of felt like a jerk about
man.
it, but it was awesome.
Talk the talk. You got to walk the walk.
Johnny Gonzalez, Collins, Horton Tucker, and George package deal. Oh, Keontae George is going nowhere.
Yeah.
Keontae George is the point guard of the future on this team.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. Mickey Quintana. No death. Tell that to SMU. SMU is a completely different era of sports.
Next comment.
SMU's punishment is meaningless here. Big Daddy Magic.
Well, hey, my guy, dude, wellness check on you.
You okay?
Did you see what Joel did? Did you see what Joel, that dude, Himmy, and B did?
Himmy. But I thought
the way.
Victor was actually pretty. He put 33 of his own up. Now Joel like more than doubled that, but it's pretty good. Markkanen be great, trusted sidekick to Victor in the Spurs. Okay. You know, Johnny Gonzalez, I saw the red shine off a Trojan helmet today. Bring that program back. Amen. Jack Ciula, peace out. See you soon. SMU, don't you mean Dallas University? The Dallas University. The Nye guy, I think we can get better at Fontecchio's position. I agree 100%. There is this big disagreement in Jazz Nation. Jazz Nation.
Where's the Italian?
On whether or not Fontecchio's defense is good. And I'm here to tell you, it's streaky at times, just like his three-point shooting. If you're a Jazz fan and you are fighting for Simone Fontecchio, sorry, I had a seizure. You're fighting for the wrong things.
Yeah.
You're fighting for the wrong thing. Comment. Monty dropping an F-bomb after taking a swing. I don't believe you. Dude, I'm hitting it pretty good right now.
Okay. Boss, he had a rough day that one day. That doesn't mean that's what it is.
And it was
time.
really disappointing. It was that one day, too. Really disappointing. Because, God, dog, I love that course.
Yeah.
The win.
Yeah.
Boss Frog got us on at the win, and I hit the ball all over the place. I may have dropped an F-bomb. Josh Allen and Victor, who is not the way losing. I'm sorry, Big Daddy Magic. Aaron Wilson says, what's up, Mo? What's up?
Hey, dude.
Yeah, you know. James, is there any chance Dallas could try to trade for Markkanen? I'd love to see Laurie, Luka, and Kyrie play together. Yeah, I don't think so. Dallas doesn't have the goods to get him. I don't think. You know. No, wait. I was holding up the V for USC out of hate for Michigan. Fight on.
Got it. Fight on. Fight on.
Big Daddy Magic.
Yeah.
What is his saying with the big gun?
Big Daddy Magic, the heavyset one with the big gun.
You know.
With the sweet tongue. This is your beloved.
All right, couple more because then we have to go. Mickey Quintana, Collins to the Lakers in exchange. The Jazz get the Chargers. It's a fair trade. Works on the cap too. You know. Send Ice Trey to my Lakers.
No, dude. So okay, hold on, bro. So you live in Utah, so you're a Utah fan. You grew up in Michigan, so you're a Michigan fan, and now you're going to LSU. And you're an Arizona fan, and now you're telling me you're a Laker fan. How does that compute, bro? Like, can you help me, bro? Like, how does that work, man?
I don't know. You got to take a leak or something? What are you hopping up and down about?
I'm not hopping up and down about anything. I'm just saying, dude's like a 5-team fanatic over here.
Jazz are going to bat for Fontecchio because they like his name. Jazz fans. Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. Boss Frog says, hey, W. Teddy Wayman, Dallas would need to include Luka. I would agree with that. Aaron Wilson, banging, stay hard.
Stay hard.
Hey, man, I am.
Stay hard.
I put the haters down today, dude.
Yeah, you did.
I got a bunch of shit on Instagram. Dude, you don't hit the 7-iron 200 yards, you prick. Hit the 7-iron 207 today.
Bless up.
And my swing coach, Darren Ingram. Darren Ingram. I'm like all excited that I hit it 207 today. And I put on Instagram, I put up a bunch of
chats.
Shot tracker or whatever they call it. And he's like, no, dude, it's not the 200-yard one, not the 207s. It's the one that went 198 at 131 miles an hour. I'm like, dude, pimp's going pimp, man. It's exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Boss Frog, so if I get you out to Cowboy Club or hopefully Dallas Country Club, you can promise me no F-bombs? No. Fuck no. I mean, yeah.
That's like asking Jim Harbaugh not to cheat. You know it's not going to happen.
Please.
Come on, dude.
Please.
How's
Oh
that
my
even possible?
God. Speaking of Boss Frog, did you guys see what
Oh, yeah.
bro, where is it?
Yeah.
Did you see what CeeDee Lamb's mom said today? Dak isn't it. Like Donald Broussard, he don't win to win. He don't want to win a ring. Right? Oh, my bad. They need to get rid of his ass. It's guys on the team that want a ring. They work hard. CeeDee Lamb's mother going hard. Oh, wait. That's not all. Terrence Parsons Jr., the brother of some kid named Micah Parsons.
You know.
Bro, they said I launched a verbal attack on Dak because I believe he should take a team-friendly deal because he wants to bring this team a championship. This media is crazy. To which Micah Parsons says, any comments made by Terrence Parsons Jr. are his and his alone. As you know, if I have something to say, I'm not afraid to say it. I love my team. My brother's on my team in the city of Dallas. And I'm more committed than ever to bring a chip to the greatest fan base on earth.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
Boss, what are your Cowboys doing?
Bro, you're supposed to be still playing. What happened?
What are your Cowboys doing?
Good Lord.
This is crazy.
Bro, when the family gets involved, you know it's a full-on meltdown.
CeeDee Lamb's mother, Dak isn't it. What on earth are we doing?
Nothing good, dude.
Via social media.
What?
And she did it on Facebook, too, which I think is hilarious.
Nobody's on Facebook.
Nah.
Nobody's on Facebook.
Nah.
All right. Well, there you go. The Monty Show, as always, presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Big things popping on the show, you guys. Make sure that you 100% go get our merch. Yes, it's in the comment section, in the description below. The description below. It is in the description below. Make sure you go and get it. MontyShowMerch.com. MontyShowMerch.com. You asked, we delivered. MontyShowMerch.com. The Monty Show presented by The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.